Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back to Mr. B's podcast. I'm Mr. B. I hope everybody out there is doing all right. And today, I want to talk about dealing with uncooperative individuals, right? So, in the security field, we see a lot, we do a lot. We come into contact with various different individuals, various different type of environments, right? We may be dealing with the people who are less fortunate, who don't have a home, also known as homeless, right? So, I mean, some people will say these days, "Hey, look, you're not supposed to say homeless. It's derogatory and offensive." Excuse me. It is what it is, right? I'm not going to change what I have to say based on your feelings, right? So there's times where you have to be sympathetic, right, to people. But come on, everybody, it's just getting a little bit out of control, right? So you got to deal with homeless people, right? You have to deal with different type of personalities in your workplace. Other external individuals. Like for example, if you're a security guard working at a gated community, right? There's many different houses there, many different personalities, right? Sometimes you may have to respond to a domestic disturbance, a domestic dispute, right? So a lot of companies don't have that type of setup. I only know of a few, and we actually only do like one or two. So it's basically set up where it's a gated community. There is a certain amount of houses or apartments. Security's tasked with being the first response for the location, right? Police, fire, EMS calls. Excuse me. The first people to respond is the security on site, right? And then the police, EMS, fire, blah, blah, whatever type of event it is, they show up. So we have to understand how to deal with certain situations, right? Also, it's worth noting that a domestic disturbance is one of the top type of calls where police officers get injured or killed. Same thing for security, right? We're no different, right? We're going into somebody's domain that we have no idea of the setup. Think about it. If you're a cop out there, you're a security guard that goes to these type of calls either at your gated community or residential property, right? You get a call, an individual is being beat up by their spouse, and the individual now has a knife, right? You're responding. You get there, you look around, you make sure nobody's pointing a rifle at you or hiding behind a car, sticking a gun out the window at you. You make your way in. Obviously, the backup's there. You don't want to go in by yourself, but sometimes in an emergency situation, you have to, right? That's what being a first responder is, right? But I'm not telling people put themselves in danger, but when you're called upon, you're expected to do something. So at any rate, you make your way in, and now you're like, I don't see anybody, but I hear somebody yelling, and I see a trail of blood on the floor. And now you enter the house, you walk towards a trail of blood. Next thing you know, somebody's popping out of some hidden cubby and they're stabbing you in your neck. Not to be so graphic, but hey, this is the real world we live in, right? So you have no idea of the setup of their house, right? So now some sites like gated community residential properties will give security blueprints to the place and the map layout and all that stuff. But like, come on, be realistic. In an emergency like that, we're just getting the call and we're going, right? We're getting PD rolling, we're getting our backup security rolling if we have it. We're just trying to intervene to hold the situation over until law enforcement arrives, right? So we have to understand how to deal with a whole bunch of different things. And I'm not going to sit here and give a whole bunch of examples today, which I could, but I don't want to. I'm trying to keep these short, right? So there'll be a whole bunch of time to make a whole bunch of examples unless I'm in jail or something like that, right? So at any rate, I want to talk about dealing with uncooperative individuals, right? So I'll give you an example. As you know, if you watch any of my other podcasts, even though I'm the chief executive officer, CEO, I still look at myself as being part of the team, right? Working in the field alongside my people. That's what I do, right? I don't know of any other CEOs who works in the field alongside their people and considers himself like one of the people part of the team, right? But that's the environment. That's a condition that I created within this company. That's why we have such a high retention rate. But anyway, I'm not selling to you. So at any rate, right? So we'll use an example. I'm working in the field and I get a call about a DV, disabled vehicle on the property. I go over to the vehicle. The vehicle is smashed to hell in the front, right? and it just looks like it's an abandoned vehicle to me. So I'm like, this is very interesting, right? I heard SP on the radio say that there was some type of collision on Taconic State Parkway, right? And I don't want to give too much specifics because I don't want to the people may be watching or something like that. But anyway, it was a DV possible crash on a Taconic State Parkway. The vehicle somehow was cleared by the time SP got there, right? So anyway, so I'm doing my patrol. I get a call about a DV on the property. I go look. I look at the car. It's all smashed up in the front. I'm like, this is weird. Is it abandoned or is it the vehicle that was involved on the Taconic State Parkway? Which apparently, where the mile marker was on the highway, it would have been relatively close for them to exit and enter the property. Right. Oh, now I'm saying too much. You might know. But at any rate, so I look around the car. I see stuff that says, the license plate is out of state. I'm seeing parking stickers, out of state properties. I'm seeing college passes from, out of state property that's in plain view, right? There's no way for me to get in the vehicle, right? Should I go in the vehicle? No. I'm not the police. So, but at any rate, so I'm seeing all these things that's out of state. I'm like, okay, so this is strange. So let me call the local police. Let's call them, great guys. We love them. We work with them all the time. Let me call them, see if they can run a plate, and then, let's see if we can go from there to try to get a positive ID on the RO, registered owner of the vehicle. So they go ahead, they take the information. They said, hey, we'll call you back. We'll run it. We'll see what we got, right? So then I called SP, State Police, and I'll say that because it's a huge organization, right? I called SP. I said, hey, look, we got this vehicle over here. Looks like it was either abandoned or involved in that collision. I mean, what do we got going on over here, right? Can you guys also run a plate, see if you can pull it, see if we can get a hold of the owner, see if it's stolen, abandoned, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So at any rate, they go, okay, we're a little bit busy tonight, and we'll run it, and we'll call you back directly, like 10, 15 minutes, right? So, but in the meantime, we're gonna, once the car frees up off the Taconic, we're gonna send them over, right? So, at any rate, so as I'm there doing the report, taking pictures of the car, trying to get the client to wake up at this time of night, which I was unsuccessful in doing. But sometimes the client's not going to wake up. You need to make a damn decision what you're going to do, right? So in situations like that, you need to make the decision, right? So I'm like, okay, so let me write my report. Wait for the SP to get here or the locals, and I notice out of the corner of my eye 5 people walking up on me. So I'm like, oh, well, this is interesting, but let me just prepare in case, something's about to go down. So anyway, I get out the car, get in a position to see them, and I see them now walking around their car, walking around this car at this point, and I'm like, you know what, they're on private property. Let me go over and talk to them and see what's going down, right? So at any rate, I notify the field supervisor who roves for us that I'm out of the car. I notify him via radio. I'm out of the car. I'm at such and such location with the DV, blah, 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 blah. If you happen to be in the area, swing by because there's 5 individuals who are approaching the vehicle, and I'm outnumbered, even though I'm really not outnumbered because I got 10 times 3, if you know what I mean. But at any rate, so I speak to them, and like right off the bat, like I'm a very nice person when I deal with people. I know how to talk to people, get answers out of people, and just get into people's brains sometimes. But anyway, we won't go into that. But at any rate, so I'm like, hey, guys, hey, what's going on? This is such and such with the security here. Hey, is that your car? They don't want to talk to me, right? They're just ignoring me. They look at me and they look away. And I go, hey, guys, do you hear me talking to you? I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. This is private property. Is this your vehicle? And the guy goes, yes, this is my car. And I go, hey, oh, okay, that's great. So that's one piece of the puzzle. So then, they're just walking around the car doing all this other stuff. I'm like, guys, so what had happened? Do you mind sharing to me, with me what had happened? And he's like, well, obviously we got in an accident. I'm like, well, bro, I'm just trying to do my job here. Like, you're being so uncooperative and so standoffish. I understand, okay, if you were involved in an accident, you're currently upset right now. Is that what's going on? They go, so yeah, we got into an accident. We were on our way up from another state, and a deer jumped out in the road. They swerved. Instead of hitting the deer, they hit the guardrail, mashed up their entire car. Right? So, young kids, obviously they're upset. I would be upset too. So, at any rate, so they said that they pulled the car into the property, and, they got a tow truck coming on their own, which to me sounded a little weird because they said a local tow company, which doesn't exist, right? So I just play into what I believe, and I'm like, hey, look, so how long is it going to take to get this car here? I understand it's disabled. Do you need to leave it overnight? If you need to leave it overnight, I have to call the client to get permission for you to leave it, because technically this is private property that you're on. The client's responsible for that vehicle pretty much. The client wouldn't be responsible for anything that negative happened to it, but they would need to know that the vehicle is on property, right? So I explained it to them. They're standoffish again. They don't want to talk to me, right? So police show up, like they just pass by. The police talk to them. Trooper's very nice to him. It was the same trooper who took a report, who was out there on the highway, and anyway, so I said to the trooper, hey, look, if they need to leave the vehicle, I'm totally fine with it, but that's not up to me. I got to ask the client, right? So I tried getting the client. They're still not answering. So I go, I'm just going to make a decision, right? Let me find out if they're going to leave it or if it's really being towed, right? So I go back over. I talk to the kids. I'm like, guys, hey, look, are you going to leave this tonight, or, it'll be all right, but, I just need to get your information in case something happens while we're here on the overnight. At least we can call you and tell you, hey, look, your car is now on fire. Or, hey, look, your car has been flipped over on the roof by a gorilla, something, anything, And they're just like, well, I don't want to give you my information. I'm like, bro, pump the brakes for a second. I just told you, if you close your mouth, open your eyes and your ears, and you listen, I said, I have no problem with leaving the vehicle here, but it's not really up to me, but I would need your contact information in case something happened to your car. And he's like, no, I don't want to give it to you. You're just a security guard. Like, why are you even talking to me? That's exactly what he said, right? All right, so I'm like, oh, so talking nice to you isn't working anymore, right? So I said it just like this to him. I said, bro, I've been very nice to you this entire time. You've been basically disrespecting me, my cool, calm, sunny demeanor, disposition. I said, you just spat on it, right? So now I'm going to talk to you the way you were talking to me, right? And I'm not being disrespectful, but I'm being firm now, right? You can't lose your cool in this, right? So, in this game. So I said, hey, look, I'm going to tell you what's going to go on now, right? This car is on private property. I said, if you don't give me your information to prove you're the RO or you have permission to drive this car, you are the driver who parked it here, I said, guess what? I know the tow companies personally that'll come tow your car, right? And he's like, oh, well, why you got to be a D word, right? Let's just say you called me a douchebag, right? So I said, you know what? You want to sit there and call me names, right? How about this? You live in Connecticut, I'll tell you. Excuse me. He said he lived in Connecticut. And I was like, all right, that's a bit of a distance from here where you're at. How would you like if I call a tow company from Albany, New York, down to this location, wherever it was? It was very far. It's very far. I don't want to say where because it'll give away too much information, right? And then I'll have people saying, Brandon, why are you telling story? Why are you telling what had happened? So just know it was far from Albany and it's far from Connecticut. So I said, I'm going to call a tow company from Albany to come pick up your car because it's private property. You have abandoned it, right? If you don't remove it out of here in the next 5 minutes, that's what I'm doing, right? So the guy goes, whoa, chill, man. Why do you have to be this way, this way, this way? And I'm like, because I was being respectful to you. You weren't listening. You just rather open your mouth and try to show your ass out here in front of your friends. I said, it's not going to work. The real world doesn't work like that, right? So I said, look, I'm going to need, if you want to leave the car, that's fine, right? I said, but understand that when it gets towed, it is currently a weekend, and They're gonna charge you for the time it takes them to get from Albany down to this location, hook up. Then they're gonna charge you for the transportation all the way back to Albany. They might charge you for any damages, any oil leaks, whatever cleanup they have to do. But it is Friday, it's I think it was Saturday morning, like 12 o'clock, right? Early in the morning. So anybody who ever had a car towed or impounded knows that when a car is taken on the weekend, you're probably not going to get it till Monday, right? You're not going to get it till Monday. Not only that, but the tow company, not only that, the tow company is going to charge you storage for the weekend, right? So a simple local tow, maybe $65, $75, right? $95 at max for a simple local tow. Now, how much would it have been for me to tow his car, have his car towed from this location all the way back to Albany, and he can't get it till Monday morning, knowing that we're already into a weekend, nobody's available, right? He would have been screwed. And he understood that, and I broke it down to him, so he understood it. So I said, if you don't want that to happen, I said, you're going to have to give me your driver's license, registration, insurance for the vehicle. So I can make a basic report and just show that because the client didn't answer, I made an executive, or whatever you want to call it, decision, and I said you can leave the car under the conditions that you will give me your information so that if we call you, if something happens to your car, we can call you. Or if it's left here for an extended period of time, we can call you, right? And he's like, he looks at the cop, and the cop's like, he can do that. And he looked at me, and he was like, no, you can't. And I said, yes, I can. Didn't you just hear what the police said, bro? I said, you know what? I'm done playing games with you. I said, take the car now, or I'm going to have the car towed. Right? And he goes, I'll give I'll give my ID to the cop, but I'm not giving it to you. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy. All right, you know what? Picked up my phone, started dialing the tow company. Right? So the cop's like, hey, hey, look, just give him the information. Like, I'm not even supposed to tell you this, right? Just give him the information. It's just security reports for his own report. And the kid finally gave me his ID, and all I did was just make a little report. I notified the client in the morning time. I'm not going to wake him up for something so, small like that, right? So I made the report, notified the client. He was happy about it. He, obviously, it was the right thing to do in the situation. Whatever. The police had already cleared that night. There was no other issue. They left the car overnight. That was their ultimate goal, right? Their ultimate goal was to be able to leave the car until at least the morning time that their private tow from Connecticut arrived, right? But, like, I'm trying to work with you, and you're being, like, completely disrespectful to me. It's like, I know how to play the games, too, and I can play the games better than you, right? And most worse than you as well. So it's easier just to go along with, depending on what it is, just easier for somebody in a situation like that to just cooperate with security. But on a security standpoint, it's important to understand your authority on private property, right? So security guards have more authority than the police on private property. This is the truth. I will say it again. Security guards have more authority than police on private property as it relates to trespassing, removing abandoned vehicles, kicking people out for any reason whatsoever, as long as it's not discriminatory. That's self-explanatory. We can do all of that, right? So there's just some things the police can't do, right? Some other things, and I don't mean to spill the tea, but like if you're at a mall, right? If you're at private property, do you guys know that the police can't even write tickets on private property unless they have permission from the property owners, right? A lot of people don't know that. But I will tell you, a lot of private properties give the respect to law enforcement to enforce vehicle and traffic laws on their property, right? And it's in writing, so they have that authority, right, to tow your car, to ticket you for, give you a ticket for failure to yield, failure to stop at a stop sign, failure to obey a traffic control device, parking in a handicap, parking in the fire zone, double parking, unlawful start or whatever else it's called, flight. They're allowed to do all that vehicle and traffic stuff, right? Inspection stickers, registration stickers, no a visible whatever sticker, plate, blah 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 blah. They're allowed to do all of that with the permission of the property owners, right? A lot of people don't know that, right? So as a security guard, you need to understand that you have these type of things in your arsenal to be able to play the game with people who want to be difficult, right? I'm not saying that you need to do something like the example I gave you with a hostile or unstable person, right? If somebody's hostile or unstable, what you need to do is you really need to de-escalate, right? And in another video, we'll go into de-escalation techniques and yada, yada, yada. But for the purpose of, this video right now, right, you need to be able to, with a hostile person, right, you need to be able to de-escalate, remove yourself from the situation, right? You don't want to play any games with them. You don't want to push them, because next thing you know, you might blink 1 second and then you wake up and your right eye isn't opening, and then you feel like you touch your eye and you're like, holy there's a knife sticking out of my eye, because now they stabbed you in the eye. So you don't want to deal with hostile people by egging them on or playing any games. But it would have been appropriate. It was appropriate to deal with that situation the way that I dealt with it. All I wanted was his driver's license, right? I could have walked away, right? I could have did nothing. I could have just left it there, right? What would happen in the morning time? The client would be pissed because a car is parked here. It's leaking oil, it's leaking antifreeze, transmission fluid, all over the parking lot, and which it wasn't, but I'm just using an example. And now those fluids went into a natural stream in their property, and now next thing you know, we got an EPA issue on our hands, right? Millions of dollars, not millions, maybe thousands of dollars to dig something up, and depending on how bad it would have been. But let's say it's the worst, right? Thousands of dollars to fix that situation, EPA type of situation, right? Now, what would happen if the client found out that the chief executive officer, the CEO of the company, was the one working that shift and did nothing about it? It would have been terrible, right? It would have looked so bad. It would look stupid upon the company. The highest ranked, I was about to say highest paid, but no, I'm not. There's employees who make way more than me here. And honestly, I don't know how the hell how the hell did I set it up like that, right? But honestly, if you looked at her Facebook or anything like that, I don't pay myself what needs to be paid, right? I'm not one of those chief executive officers, CEOs who take all the money and no. I barely pay myself anything just to get by, but I set it this way, that there's flexibility, there's financial stability, right? I can get what I want to get for our offices, or I can get what I want to get for our guards, right? There's more money, there's more capital floating around, right? If I decide that I want to give my guards, and I have done it multiple times, if I'm feeling like out of the blue, I want to say, let me send a pizza to such and such site, or let me send such and such site. I have that financial liberty to be able to do that by not giving myself a salary or hourly, right? I have that financial flexibility, right? And quite honestly, that's the way I set it up like that. But I don't know too many people who would do that, So I'm like barely getting by, but it's the way that I set it up, right? Because I put my people before myself. A lot of people won't do that. A lot of people won't understand. I have friends, families, other people from security companies like, Brandon, what the hell are you talking about? You don't pay yourself. Are you nuts? But they just don't understand, right? We got to where we are today because of what I do, right? So I don't want to hear it, right? So just when I need some money, just send some money my way. Okay, thank you. So at any rate, to recap, we deal with a lot of situations as security. We need to know how to handle it, right? There's a lot of videos out there, other videos about how to de-escalate and how to solicit information from individuals to get your ultimate goal from them. There's some videos from retired been for the last, at any rate, um, changing topics. So yeah, so we have to deal with a lot of things, and we just need to be prepared for it. So, all right, we're gonna end this here session today, and remember, you're not a cop. Don't get yourself arrested. Don't get yourself sued. Don't get yourself killed. All right. Do your job. Do it to the best of your ability, and everything will be good. So until next time, I will see you later. What the hell? Let's try that one more time.